2025 is gonna be the year your manga dreams become a reality. Are you ready to make it happen? In this video, we're diving into the essential secrets every aspiring mangaka needs to know to kickstart their journey. We've gathered these insights after working with over 400 beginners, pro Japanese mangakas, and published artists. We'll guide you through writing, drawing basics, shading, paneling, storyboarding, character design. We'll transform your question of where do I even begin into the proud moment of, hey, check out my first manga. So stay tuned, grab your pen, and let's begin your amazing journey. 2025 will be the year your manga dreams come to life. First, let's talk about your goals for the year. I mean, becoming a mangaka is technically a goal, but why does it feel like we're so far from making it happen? I mean, we've spoken to hundreds of aspiring mangakas and they want to make their own manga. They want to break into the industry. But the thing is, when we ask them, so, have you made a manga before? About 90 to 95% of them haven't. But why? Let me tell you a story. In 1999, American psychologists studied two groups of students and their performance on their exams. In the first group, these students were told to imagine getting a good grade on their exam, like a perfect score or an A+. They were asked to think about the feeling of acing it. Meanwhile, the second group of students were told to imagine the steps they'd take to prepare, like sitting down to study, reviewing notes, and taking practice tests. Can you guess which group actually did better in the exams? The second group. Why? Because focusing on the process motivated them to take action. They knew what they needed to do. Daydreaming about success didn't help us much. So, if the majority of what you do is just think and daydream and talk about becoming a mangaka without actually creating manga, even if it's the crappy ones, then you're more likely going to end up like group 1. So, what do you do to get into the more successful group 2? Break down your manga goals into actionable steps and start working towards it. Remember, actions speak louder than words. Don't just keep saying you want to make manga. Actually do it. Are you ready to finally create your first one-shot manga this 2025? We invite you to apply to our online one-shot manga drawing program. This is your chance to learn directly from pro Japanese mangakas and published manga artists. The thing is, we're only accepting 20 new students this January. You can book a free manga consultation call with us to see if we're a good fit to work together. The link is in the description. Now that we know how important it is to set proper goals, let's take it one step further and be smart. Set goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Specific. What do you want to achieve exactly? If it's your first manga, then we recommend starting small. And making a one-shot that's only 16 to 20 pages long is the perfect first step. Think of it as like an athlete training for their first big competition. You don't dive straight into the Olympics right away. You start with smaller events, building your skills and confidence along the way. Starting with a one-shot helps you understand the whole manga creation process. It helps you build confidence and momentum without feeling too overwhelmed by a long and complicated story. Plus, it's a great way to see if your story resonates with your readers. Measurable. Once you have a specific goal, like, I want to complete a 16-page one-shot, let's break it down into mini goals. For example, finishing the script in 1 month, finishing the storyboard in 2 months, inking 2 pages per week. These smaller milestones make your progress trackable and keep you motivated. Achievable. A lot of beginners make the mistake of overestimating what they can actually do, like thinking they can finish a whole manga chapter in 1 week like a pro mangaka. But the reality is that it's just impossible with their current skills and availability. And so what happens? They feel demotivated and want to give up. So be realistic about your own expectations. How much time can you realistically dedicate each week? Are your art or writing skills strong enough to meet your deadlines? Or do you need time to practice first? Remember, your manga journey isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. So take time to learn the actual skills that you need. Relevant. If you find yourself feeling unsure about what sort of goals to set, just ask yourself, does this goal align with your ultimate dream? Every goal you set should align with your vision, whether that's to become a pro mangaka or simply just sharing your stories and ideas to inspire other people. You want to make sure that each step is helping you move one step closer to your dreams. Time bound. Always set deadlines. Deadlines are your best friend. Without them, it's easy to procrastinate or lose focus.
Okay, Hori, we cannot let him find out we don't know what we're doing.
What we've learned from working with over 400 aspiring mangakas is that a little pressure helps. Our student Dylan, for example, made his very first one-page manga in less than an hour. And you know what he said?
I've never drawn anything on a time limit. Usually, I just stare at my sketchbook for half an hour before deciding on something. It's my first time doing this exercise, but it was fun. Got the brain moving and took way less time than I thought it would.
The takeaway? Set deadlines for your goals and actually follow them. You might even be surprised with how much you can actually get done. By setting up SMART goals at the very beginning, you're setting yourself up for success. And you're more likely to make your manga come to life. Now, on to the next step. Actually learning how to make your manga. As we've said on our channel before, you're wearing multiple hats as a mangaka. You're the writer, the illustrator, and the director. It might feel a little bit overwhelming, but with the right roadmap, it's totally doable. So let's break it down. When writing your story for your manga, the first step is to craft a strong logline. A logline is just a one-sentence summary of your story. It's meant to grab attention and make your potential readers and editors curious. According to our pro mangaka mentor, Nao Yazawa,
if you can't explain your story in a single sentence, it's going to be hard to spark anyone's interest, even if you share every detail.
Think of it like this. If you found yourself in an elevator with an editor from Weekly Shonen Jump and you had less than a minute to pitch your manga, your logline would be your go-to. So the question is, how do you create a great logline? It should answer the following questions. Who is the hero of your story? What are they trying to achieve? What's standing in their way? What happens if they fail? Here's a quick activity for you. Can you tell me what manga this logline is for? Transported to feudal Japan, a modern-day high school girl teams up with a half-demon to recover a powerful jewel's shards, battling evil, and navigating a complex romance to prevent the destruction of their worlds. Leave your answers in the comments. If you guessed Inuyasha, then you are right. But what makes this a good logline? Let's break this down. Transported to feudal Japan, a modern-day high school girl teams up with a half-demon to recover a powerful jewel's shards, battling evil, and navigating a complex romance to prevent the destruction of their worlds. So the main characters are a modern-day high school girl and a half-demon. The goal is to recover a powerful jewel's shards and prevent the destruction of their worlds. The conflict are evil forces and navigating a complex romance. And if they fail, it could result in the destruction of their worlds. When you craft your own logline, keep this checklist in mind and make sure to hit all those 4 points. Now, it's time to take things a step further and start shaping your story. A good logline is like the spark that gets people excited. But to keep that flame alive and have people reading until the end, you need a solid plan to bring your story to life. Structure your plot with Ki, Sho, Ten, Kitsu. This is a very common storytelling framework in Japanese manga. Ki means introduction. Introduce the characters, the setting, and initial conflict to hook your readers. Sho means development. Add depth by exploring the setup further and building tension. Ten is the twist. Surprise readers with a turning point or an unexpected challenge. Ketsu means conclusion. Tie everything together with a satisfying resolution and character growth. By combining your logline with Kisho Tenketsu, you'll create a structured, engaging story that captures your reader's attention. These storytelling tools also guide your manga's visuals, like character design and settings, making your manga even more cohesive. If you want to learn more about the manga writing process, we actually have another video that talks more about this. You can check out this link. We'll also put it in the description. To make a great manga, you need characters that your readers can fall in love with. And I'm not talking about just simply designing good-looking characters. There are actually 3 levels to character design: visual design, features, and essence. A lot of beginners get caught up with level 1, the visual design. They want to make their characters look cool. I mean, who doesn't? But there's more to it than that. To make a truly memorable character, you also have to give them a memorable personality. And a lot of beginners manage to make it to level 2. The features. They give their characters a backstory. All these cool power systems. They have the basics of their character background down. But only really good mangaka make it to level 3. The essence of your character. According to our pro mangaka mentor, Nao Yazawa,
Your character is like a real person with their own feelings and emotions.
just like how you and your best friend would react to certain situations differently, so will each of your characters. If someone slapped them, would they slap back? Would they cry and run away? Or would they create an evil, sinister plan for revenge? You have to understand how your character would react as their own unique person. Only then can you effectively communicate who they are to your readers. Next is storyboarding. This step takes up a lot of the manga making process. We've seen beginners skip this stage, and you know what happens? Boring, repetitive scenes. Draggy pages with a lot of unnecessary panels that don't move their story forward. Think of a storyboard as your manga's blueprint. It helps you plan out panel layouts, pacing, and camera angles so you can avoid mistakes and create a smooth, engaging story. Now, if you want to make a good storyboard, here are the key things you need to do. First, start with a simple plot. Write a clear outline of your story in short, simple sentences. If you're working with 16 pages for your first one-shot, you should only have a 1-page plot. You also have to determine how many pages you want to allot for the ki, the sho, the ten, and the ketsu. For example, will each phase have 4 pages each? This way, you can properly plan out the pacing of your story. Second, keep your drawings simple. Don't get caught up in the details. Just use rough sketches to experiment with panel layouts and angles. Focus on expressions, positioning, and the flow of your panels. Third, use mini storyboards. Create thumbnail sketches of your entire manga to visualize page layouts and pacing. Work in spreads or 2-page layouts so you can properly visualize how the right and left page interact with each other. Pro mangakas actually consider this whole spread as one big illustration, and your reader's eyes have to glide smoothly across the page. Remember, storyboarding is the foundation of an engaging manga. At this stage, don't be scared to edit. Every scene, every panel, every dialogue needs to move your story forward. Otherwise, it's just a waste of space. If you want to make sure you're making the best version of your manga, and you want to have a team of pro mangakas giving you feedback on your work and acting as your editors, then make sure to apply to our online one-shot manga drawing program. You can book a free manga consultation call in the description. Once you have your storyboard finalized, now you can get into drawing. We've reviewed hundreds of beginner manga submissions, and we have 3 tips to elevate your manga. Tip number 1, show, don't tell. Don't rely on dialogue to move your story forward. Let your art do most of the talking. This is what manga is about. Western comics tend to use a lot of dialogue for their storytelling, but for manga, it's your drawings. Which leads us to tip number 2. You need to learn how to draw expressions and dynamic poses. reading manga is an emotional experience, and part of what makes it impactful are what your characters do and how they react. That's how you pull readers in and get them to fall in love with your characters and with your story. We see a lot of beginners that just draw headshots, bust shots, very stiff characters with very stiff expressions. You gotta exaggerate those expressions and experiment with more dynamic poses and angles. Look at this dramatic spread from our student Courtney. It's action-packed with high tension. Honestly, we thought it couldn't get any better than this, but when our pro mangaka mentors gave her feedback, she was able to transform it into this. You see the fire, the determination, the power in her characters' expressions as they deliver that fatal blow. Just adding those elevated the spread to a whole different level. So don't be scared to exaggerate facial features. Practice your character showing joy, fear, anger, sadness, confusion, and practice your gesture drawings every day. There's a lot you can convey simply with just body movement alone. Lastly, tip number 3, learn to draw backgrounds. We know, backgrounds are one of the hardest things to learn, and a lot of beginner mangakas don't find them as enjoyable as drawing characters. But they're a very crucial part of your story. It gives context as to where everything is happening. In a forest, in a city, in your main character's room. Imagine if some of your favorite manga scenes didn't have any backgrounds at all. It gets a bit confusing where the scene takes place, right? Your readers would feel the same way if your characters just seem to be floating around in an empty panel. Learning to draw backgrounds might be hard, but it's definitely worth it. This year, you gotta embrace that challenge. If you're ready to dive deeper and make sure that you can finally finish and publish your first one-shot manga this 2025, just like our students, then we invite you to join our online one-shot manga drawing program. You'll be under the mentorship of pro-Japanese mangakas and published manga artists who will also act as your editors. We have live weekly Zoom training sessions where you can ask questions and get direct feedback on your work. Plus, you'll be with an amazing community of fellow aspiring mangakas who are in this journey with you together. Our new term starts this January and we'll only be taking on 20 new students. Let 2025 be the year you share your manga with the world. The link to join us is in the description. We can't wait to speak with you.